Thank you guys for coming. I just wanted to take the next 4 or 5 hours and share some memories of Mom. Through Mom's illness, there was often times that I was worried that I would forget the true Mom. The Mom that we had daily phone calls, literally daily phone calls, checking in on each other. We would solve world problems. We would complain about something. We would complain about someone. And at the end of each one of those complaining conversations, Mom would typically say, "It's a good thing that you and I are perfect." And that's the truth. Mom was a perfect mom. She loved being a mom. When Kyle was a baby, they lived in a small town of population of maybe less than 200 people. And one evening they heard emergency vehicles in town. And so Mom feared for the life of her and her newborn baby. She thought they were in danger. By the time Dad arrived back at the house, found Mom in full-on protecting mode. She had a big old shotgun in her lap. The shotgun, though, was not loaded, and it was still in its case. So Dad figures she was going to beat him to pieces. But she made being a mom super easy by being the world's best grandma. When Gina was working out of town and Corey and Gina needed to find childcare and figure out how to get the kids to school and events, Mom drove thousands and thousands of miles during those years. And anytime there was an alternative, if they were brainstorming how can we make this easier, Mom was adamant that she was going to be the one that took care of her grandbabies. When our first son was born, Ross was able to be home for a few days, and the night before he had to go back to work, I had a full-on panic attack. I was petrified to be left alone with Garrett. And I did not know it at the time, but Ross snuck to the other room and called Mom and said, "Your daughter is a hot mess, and she is petrified to be alone with the baby. Can you check on her tomorrow to make sure she's doing okay when I'm at work?" So Mom just happened to be in the area the next morning, and she happened to be in the area every morning after that for the next 6 weeks. She was a great mom. And she knew how to have fun for us kids. There was no such thing as a typical Easter egg hunt. There was full-on brutal Easter competitions. It was scavenger hunts, it was board games, it was relay races. She had just pulled out all the stops every year. Though the kids and I still bear emotional and physical scars from the year we had to ride Johnny's children's bikes around the Peoria neighborhood. We're talking little bikes around the Peoria neighborhood doing a scavenger hunt. Mom also knew how to have fun with Dad. I don't know if they were married yet or just dating when they were in downtown Des Moines, and they came up to a stoplight and they played red light, green light. And that's when you come to a stoplight, and if the light is red, you have to get out and run around the car. When the driver gets back into the driver's seat, if the light is green, they are required. That's the rules. They are required. They have to leave, whether their passengers are in tow or not. Dad was not in tow. Dad got left stranded in downtown Des Moines. We are originally from Iowa, and they flew back to Iowa one year, didn't tell people they were coming back, and it coincided with the annual Bassett Halloween party. And since no one knew they were coming back, Mom crafted costumes that 100% concealed their identity. And so they showed up to the party and crashed the party, and for hours and hours, people interrogated and poked and prodded, trying to find out who was in these costumes. Mom and Dad succeeded. No one found out who they were. They finally revealed their identity at the end of the night. They also knew how to dance. Oh my goodness, we would go to weddings, we go to any gathering, and people would stop and watch Mom and Dad dance. It is just painful for me to say that Kyle, Corey, and I never inherited a stitch of rhythm. We can't dance at all. Our only hope is our son Ryan has the dancing gene, so hopefully that can carry on the transition, or the tradition in Mom's memory. But Mom's gift of humor was unparalleled. She was, and still is, the reigning champion of "This is a very serious game." And if anyone has ever played "This is a very serious game" with Mom, you know what I'm talking about. She was, her humor and her sarcasm was fantastic. There was a group of, some friends in Iowa, Jim and Elsie, that she brainstormed long and hard on how to come up with the perfect practical joke to pull on Jim. He had no idea that Mom called the newspaper and placed a classified ad in the Sunday paper that said, "Want to buy horse manure? Any amount we'll pick up, call Jim," and put Jim's phone number. Jim was clueless as to why his phone started ringing the next morning before dawn, and it was a guy telling him how good his horse manure was and why he needed to come get his manure. The phone rang the rest of the day until Jim finally took it off the hook and left the house. That Mom got the last laugh on that one. And horses were just a way of life. It's not a blessing that I take lightly, that I have always had the blessing of horses. And we have rode thousands of hours and thousands of miles with Dad. But during that time, I only saw my mom on a horse one time. She used to tell Dad, "They don't have steering wheels or brakes, so I'm not going to ride them." But that doesn't mean Mom didn't do horses. She was at every horse show, every trail ride, every camping trip, every horse sale, supporting her family and her husband so that we could do horses. And she was always there to support us in that. We laugh that she was also typically the one that was driving the car after the accident to the emergency room after a horse accident. But Mom was always there. She always took care of us. And she was a friend. There's some people here that have been a friend of my mom's for over 73 years. And that's the kind of friend that I want to model my life after. She knew when someone needed her, she would be at the hospital and she'd sit with people for hours. She would drive them to doctor's appointments. As a daughter, I would get a little irritated, like, "Mom, just go to bed, they'll be fine." No, I'm going to sit with them and I'm going to be with them at the hospital. That is the kind of friend that you don't want to take for granted. She had a friend that had a family need in Iowa and needed to get there. She drove the friend to Iowa. She was just that kind of a person. And towards the end of her illness, when the personality that we knew and loved had left, she would often be heard saying, "I want to go home." Whether she was sitting in her own chair or she's in her dining room or she's at my house or Kyle or Corey's, she would often say, "I want to go home." And during the last week, and she's in bed, and she's not coherent, there's no communication going on, and our son Ryan and Bailey were sitting with her, and she said one more time, "I want to go home." And it wasn't till then that I realized all along, Mom knew she wanted to go home and be with Jesus. And to put that together was just heartwarming for me. And it's even more heartwarming to know that my mom is standing there having the never-ending debate with Jesus saying, "I love you the most." So thank you for coming today.